Right. First time I've said that before, as we do, of course, have all of the teams playing today inside of this Sunday of Super Week. Liquid versus MIBR here on Oregon. Thatcher and Ash banned out. Liquid there choosing to get rid of the old Ash. Going to be getting rid of Mira as well.
Yeah, Liquid don't give a damn. You know, they know that an Ash ban isn't going to affect them that bad because of how, I want to say, flexible the team is on the whole. Just trying to hurt MIBR, and MIBR will be rounding things out with the Wamai ban.
Pretty standard stuff, aside from, of course, the Ash ban. I think that's the second time we've seen Ash ban tonight. It could be the third. I'm kind of losing track at this point, but it is the third time.
Time is but an illusion.
Well, no, it is, but the game, we've just seen so many games that they start to roll into one until you look over your notes, but it is actually 3 maps that we've seen Ash banned out on there. So obviously teams looking to target individuals when the stakes are so high. But it's not going to worry Team Liquid. They were the one that banned it, and to be honest, we don't always see them bring in an Ash anyway. Palu's pretty solid on the sledge, and Nesk usually plays the Zofia.
Alright, so Team Liquid are attacking. I'm going to lay out what I don't want to see. Don't want to see a meeting hatch drop where 3 players immediately DBNO and get swept up by the same defender. Now, I'm not saying that because, you know, there's no real reason why I've ever said that before, why I would say that, but I'm just saying I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it either, and I think it's something that I saw in a Nightmare once, but, you know, maybe it's just, maybe that's where it stays. We have got a Twitch poll on the screen for you right now. Quite a decisive 70-30 split for all you beautiful people in the chat. As Team Liquid there coming off the favourites here. Makes sense. A lot of fans there for Liquid and a lot of belief.
It's Jenna and all of her ults.
Just a million alt Twitch accounts that are all voting.
Yeah, it's all Jenna.
Just farming channel points at this point.
So far, just drones, nothing too decisive, although Felipox loses about half his HP. Nesk is receiving the information from his teammates, so there is a player through here in dining. Felipox has been down, but Nesk won't exactly know that. We'll have to push up on him to find him. And because he's on the floor... I was going to say because he's on the floor, he won't see him immediately, but Lukid was there for the trade. The trade master has been traded. And Lukid, another one from Team Liquid in his pocket.
MIBR aren't making this easy, specifically Lukid. If there's 2 that you could take down, it would be the top 2 fraggers on the side of Liquid. Nesk and Palu have been taken out almost without response. I guess technically without response, as Lukid was actually trading his teammate onto Nesk, as Nesk killed Felipox. So, tough start here for Liquid. Moringa going to start to see some pressure as well. Raps decides just to back himself off into that little laundry area. Moringa's going to back himself off even further, as seems like Freezer is going to be the chosen push. A bit of Freezer and a bit of bottom laundry stairs. As Liquid don't really have much other option here. They've got plenty of time, and they're going to use some of their utility to get that freezer hatch open. Lukid is on a tear. He finds another and one onto PSK. This could be an ace. It's going to be. Lukid comes out of nowhere and just aces Liquid in this first round.
I love it. This is a way to send a message. One hell of a way to send a message. Especially given that this is the very map that Team Liquid had real problems on against Black Dragons. Now, obviously coming into it, Team Liquid could have thought, yeah, we know what to do on this, and we also don't want to give loads of stuff away. We'll go back somewhere we've already been. We'll be fine. We're Team Liquid. Lukid shutting that down in the first round. Oh, you know this is going to be a game.
I don't want to send any sort of curses out there, and I don't believe in that sort of stuff, but Palu had a bad game on Oregon against the Black Dragons, And he got taken out pretty early on there. It's one round. It's nothing to really go off. But it would be a shame for Liquid if that was to kind of creep back on in and they had, you know, just a bad performance on the whole on this map. Because whilst there isn't any sort of direct spot inside of the Copper Elite on the line here, there is seeding. And that is going to be important when it comes down to it, because you get preferential matchups in the first round of games, or you may even miss out the first round of games entirely. I'm not entirely sure how the seeding works, but seeding always has some value, and it's important to finish as high up the leaderboard as you can, or high up the standing, should I say, as you can. Liquid going to need to give themselves a bit of a wobble after that one, but at least, Geo, for a time, we have returned to a more, air quotes, normal Oregon, where the defenders win.
Imagine that.
As opposed to the last game.
Oh, man. The other risk I just wanted to add on that Team Liquid run if they are to lose this is gaining a bit of a reputation for Oregon being a weaker map. Now, of course, you do still have to bear in mind, as I said before, that they won't want to give away everything that they have for their maps before the Copa Elite 6. They have no real reason to give everything away. Nice spawning of the black eye, by the way. So it's not too decisive from that front, but you don't want to have two disastrous losses on the same map in a row, and you certainly can't expect that to not influence a kind of reputation. Either way, it's just one... Okay. I was going to say, it's just one round in. It's all fine. First kill, straight onto PSK.
Another opening death there for Liquid, and onto the primary hard breach. Now, Sexy Cake, of course, plays the Maverick and will be doing so in this round. That Maverick's going to be good for pretty much one thing, and that is getting Attic open. That has now been done. You're very unlikely to be able to use the Maverick blowtorch to get anything else open that's significant, mainly in the fact that you need to be there for a long period of time. Bit of bait in there from Sexy Cake. That's very nice to see, as he's just trying to get Redux to challenge him there on that window. Redux knows better. He was tempted for a time, but is going to instead back himself off. We've got Nest now repelling into Armory, removing some of that utility that's going to be in there. Push that's going to mount itself from this Armory side and attempt to come through Trophy. But likely it's going to end up coming through a single door, as I don't believe the breach got opened before PSK died.
I think you're right, and you can tell that Liquid are trying to adapt based on that, given the way that Sexy Cake and Nest were working together to clear out the utility and make that a viable route in. There was also, ooh, a nice C4 from Liquid, no less. I was going to say there was also a player from Liquid who was over on the games room wall, or at least out on the balcony outside trying to hold in through Master, but Liquid don't seem to be having an easy time pushing through into the site.
Liquid really can't find their in here. They've spent so much time and attention on that attic area, and losing out the hard breacher early on has come back to hurt them. One Toxic Babe canister now is going to do a large part of the work in terms of denying the push. Nesk left to go big inside of the trophy, trying to push his way on through. Moringa gets chunked down as well. Only two players left alive now from Liquid as the kills start to trade on through. Paolu grabs one, but it is by nowhere near enough. MIBR there going to take round number 2 very comfortably here on Oregon.
I think something that really helped push Team Liquid back in that, beyond the obvious, is the fact that a lot of the utility that needed clearing to actually make the push into the site itself couldn't be. When they knew that PSK had gone down, not only have you lost the thermite, so the games room wall can't be opened, and that's when Nesk and Sexy Cake started turning their attention over to that Armory corridor and pushing in through Trophy, when you also had another player out on the balcony who could hold the angle in through Master. But the thing is, at that point, you were relying on Paolu to push in through Attic. Now, that seems fine, but Paolu, we saw, was trying to hold an angle and shoot in on a guy in Kidstorms who was hiding behind a shield. Now, you might think, well, Paolu has nades. He can clear those. He doesn't need Nesk to be there. But there was likely at least one ADS there. Who on Team Liquid was carrying flashes? Oh, that would have been PSK because he was playing Thermite. You did also have Moringa, who is playing on Nomad as he is now, and Nomad also carries flashes, but I'm pretty sure Moringa was the player who was out on the balcony. So you're on the complete opposite side of the building to the attic. You can't help clear out ADSs over there for Palu. And it was very limited as well from there. Because even if you threw in the flashes from the Nomad in through Trophy or into the actual dorms site itself, well, by that point, Sexy Cake has been taken out. So your second set of nades aren't available. What that means is that the flashes available and the nades available were on completely different sides of the map, and you can't get very far with removing utility that would need to be removed to actually facilitate a push.
Liquid need to try and find some success here, as they don't really want to be going down too far on this attacking phase. It'd be preferable if they could come out at a 3-3 split, and with the way that MIBR are going, they're looking pretty good so far on the defense. Yet to find an opening kill as well. Maybe opportunity for them in this round, as MIBR are very well spread out. Not a lot of people in position to get trades onto each other. And Liquid playing quite patiently. Seriously just playing for one kill and trying to find some sort of an in or some aggression. Moringa might have his opportunity here. I believe it's going to be Reduct. Either Reduct or Files. It is in fact Reduct at the top of that stair, and just tempted to challenge over onto the window. Very big off-site hold here for MIBR, and it seems to be working so far. Liquid are taking the time with this one.
We have no real reason to rush. Still half the round remaining. Philippok's getting very aggressive though, and Falls is going to follow on up, taking an aggressive positioning himself, as they know that Team Liquid are playing predominantly on those back stairs.
This is a site that Team Liquid famously defend. For a time, it looks as though they are cautious in their approach. Oh, I think Fowls has been misdrawn there. That could be catastrophic if anyone comes piling down those main stairs. With that barricade open to his left, I don't think anybody knows that he's there. Paulu gets an opener onto Philippox, making a nade work. But Fowl's still in a pretty dangerous position. The only downside at the moment is he hasn't got a better gun to be challenging this with. Raps is going to land some pre-fire shots and a down onto Sexy Cake. Fowls with the swing, converts it. The shotgun's going huge. He finds himself two. One more shot over onto Nesk, and that could do it as well. Raps pushing aggressively onto the breach. Toxic Babe canisters as well. Liquid debated into that push there. MIBR with the collapse. Palu left with 3 kills to find. Has intel on the downed player of Raps. 1 versus 2 as he looks to make his approach on in. Easy kill to clean on up, but that isn't going to be the whole story here. The diffuser is left at the back of those rear stage stairs, and he has to come up with these final 2 kills. Lucan and Reduct are split up here. Reduct with the swing. He's going to find that final kill. MIBR continuing their flawless streak here on the defense of Oregon.
Completely poor acquisition of information for Team Liquid. You noted that Falls was misdroned, and you know the next thing, he's getting 2 kills with the shoddy. Philippox was the first kill that was acquired by Team Liquid, but by that point, he'd already used his C4 and placed all the black eyes out. Sure, you want that extra player on the board, but as far as wasting utility or anything particularly valuable, he'd done his job by that point. The other thing as well is that when all those kills started to come in to Team Liquid, because they hadn't droned out onto Falls, because a lot of those players from MIBR could play up close and get the kills while Team Liquid was still on the back stairs, it meant that there was no one holding on to things such as the green corridor, or even having anyone out towards security corridor, anything that would otherwise put pressure onto kitchen. So it meant that MIBR had a ton of space that they could use and push on up to Team Liquid with. Now, even though you still had one last player of Team Liquid to try and go up against many members of MIBR, and then use that space, you're in a man disadvantage. There's only so much you can do there, and you're running on limited information. By that point, Team Liquid will have known the spiral that they descended into because of that lack of thorough droning. And I don't even want to call it thorough droning because it's not a case of Liquid not knowing where to drone or not droning extensively. It's just that they did it wrong.
I don't think I've seen an attack onto that site, Gio, where that door isn't open either. You know, the rear stage door that leads out with the default camera right next to it, it's such a free door to open as an attacker. There's no downside to getting it open. Yeah, you can be peeked from, you know, maybe highway window, but that's literally about it. Once you're there, and you never really get challenged too heavily from that sort of a side of things. Even that could have been the difference maker there, and MIBR just playing in this fashion where they're making Liquid drone out every nook and cranny, and something like that, a situation that arises where you have missed drone, it lays doubt on top of all the further droning done out inside of the game, because you're like, is that really clear, or do I need to jump back into my drone and just double check it?
Back down into the basement. I just had a look at my notes to see who it was who won the basement site on round 1, which I realized was just a completely useless thing to do.
It has been a long day, hasn't it, Gio?
Yeah,
it's 3-0, and you...
So, I wonder who won laundry back in round number 1. Well, only one team's won anything so far in this game. That's MIBR. Team Liquid still continuing to struggle. Getting the freezer hatch open at least, and you can see that there are a couple of members of MIBR who are stacked up in that area to deal with any push that may be done down there. MIBR have been going for this, basement-heavy defense so far, not sending out any aggressive or extensive roam games, instead deciding to focus predominantly on what's going on down there. Makes it quite hard when Liquid turn around and attempt to make the push themselves, something that so far hasn't happened in this round.
Big difference maker so far in this round is that we've not seen Liquid out there on the roam picking up 2 kills. We've actually got everybody on the side of Liquid in the position that they intend to be in. And now we're going to get to see Nesk and Paolo attacking this site as well. They were taking out first blood inside of round number 1. Already, Liquid's favour looks like it might be shifting as Moringa finds the opener onto Reduct. We've still got Nesk challenging on the stairs. And MIBR need to be very cautious of that. There is going to be an air jab placed there as well. Toxic Babe canisters ring on through, and Fowles deploys his pocket reinforcement, which is going to make Elbow a little bit more hotly contested, and it's likely going to force Liquid into that electrical hatch drop area. We are seeing C4s come out, and Rap sees 2 kills. That's Diffuser down as the kills continue to come for MIBR, but Liquid respond. PSK and Nesk try for a time. The round will run out of time before a solid conclusion in the kill feed. MIBR will take it. A close execute there by Liquid, but they were just out of time.
Liquid meet C4, C4 meet Team Liquid. I'm sure you guys will get on well. Oh my goodness, they are really struggling. And actually, when I look down at the notes that I've been keeping, Ollie, one of the big things that screams to me is Liquid have made no plants. That is so unlike this team. And even back towards the start of this stage, one of the big things that we have reiterated about Team Liquid is how their attacking playstyle is really based around getting early plants, but setting themselves up to support that plant when it happens and to cut off defenders as it does. Usually Team Liquid aren't the type of team who are going to be going in for kills for the sake of kills. Everything is based around getting a plant down. But it's the pure fact that they have struggled to even get Sexy Cake in that position at all. They can't set up for a post plant if there isn't a plant to be had. This is incredibly uncharacteristic of Team Liquid to have not even attempted a plant yet.
I think they'd have liked to have got one down in that round, but we saw Sexy Cake, one of the victims of the C4.
Which one?
It's always, well, exactly. It's always a safe bet to assume that whatever the situation, Sexy Cake has that diffuser, and in that instance, he did. Moringa did pick the diffuser up, and I'm not sure if he attempted or not to try and stick a plan, but it just wasn't the time for it. It was like walking into, I don't know, maybe walking into a nightclub in like a full suit. It's just not really that sort of vibe, you know. You need to be going a little bit more casual. You can't be trying to plant while all the gunfire is going on and there's some serious firefights kicking off. That's exactly the position that Liquid found themselves in there. If they're not careful, this one could seriously run away from them, as MIBR are continuing to gain that momentum, and we're seeing big performances, but from different players in each and every round. We've seen something brilliant out of each and every one of the players on the side of MIBR, whether it's Lukid in round number 1, big C4 kill in the previous round, Fowls with the sort of Houdini play back in round number 3. So Liquid need to try and take some sort of control here. Now, previously they lost PSK. He was playing the Thermite last time that we saw this site. And they did lose him quite early, and it was a large part, really, of how Team Liquid came to lose the round.
Yeah, he switched over to Ace this time. Assuming that he's going to be going for the games room wall, it changes a couple of things. Firstly, it means that he can, have smokes instead. Secondly, it means that he can apply a hard breach onto the wall without risking being blown up from below. And one thing I do remember seeing back in round number 2 was Nesk paying a lot of attention down to what was happening in Classroom, which is where you would expect a defender to be if they were going to play vertically and provide that threat. And you can see that I think it's the Valkyrie who's down there. That's Reduct. Okay, not in Classroom, but at the top of the stairs. Could end up being in a threatening position. And you can see Palu also trying to hold the angle. Sexy K gets a kill onto Lukid. He's been a very effective player for MIBR so far, and that's a Roma removed.
Bit of upside down repel action there. Moringa getting himself in to place that Nomad and getting himself straight back out again. Not really wanting any part of what Nesk is going to be getting himself involved in, as it is usually pretty rapid-fire gunfights. 30 seconds remain, and you wonder where the time has gone in this round, but Liquid have actually managed to do a fair bit here. Not only that, they've got themselves all alive for this execute. Palu needs to move, though, as Attic still needs to be pushed on through. PSK this time has the diffuser. Even though Sexy Cake is going to be alive, Raps with an aggressive swing, finds himself a down onto Nesk. Kills are going to start to flood on in, and Fowls and Felipox are on the right side of things. Nesk has got himself down. Sexy Cake has the diffuser. He's going to start a plant on just 1 second. A retake needs to happen quickly here. Oh, you've just seen him Reduct. Gets the pre-fire shot down, but no, the pea shooter that is the Valkyrie gun. No, it isn't going to work out for him now. A true 1 versus 1, but guess what? The 1 is downed. No intel on the side of Reduct. You don't need to be thirsting after this kill. I suppose you can do if you like. Well, it looks like it was all calculated anyway. 20 seconds left, 7.5 seconds to defuse. Plenty of time. MIBR once again coming out on the right side of those trades.
A good old tactical crouch at the end there for good measure. A lot of my reactions in that were, when Raps just kind of walked across the entrance of games looking for the kill onto PSK through the games room wall, but completely not paying attention to what was happening in Trophy, where 2 of the players of Team Liquid burst on through. Team Liquid had taken control of that part of the map. You can't assume that it's just free and available, regardless of how bloodthirsty you may feel. But then you have Falls and Felipox on the other side of the map because there wasn't sufficient pressure from Team Liquid onto, for example, Big Window to prevent them from doing that. And so you had this backwards and forwards, and any advantage that Team Liquid seemed to have for quite a while wasn't there. And just for kind of the sake of fun, well, if that's what you want to call it, it's interesting to imagine how that round could have gone if the withstand was still available, because Nesk wouldn't have been down for the rest of the round. He was that last player, and we know that Nesk can clutch when he needs to. He's proven it on that very site in the last time Team Liquid came here, but instead he was just left to bleed out in Master until Reduct went for the kill at the very end. That could have gone a very different way purely because of something so small as that. As it stands, MIBR put their 5th round on the board. Team Liquid still looking for their first.
Gio, there is a parallel universe somewhere where Zafia still has withstand. And Nesk actually withstands that, clutches it out, and it's the turning point for Liquid in this. And they come out 6-5.
And then Twitter debate about whether he should have been able to do
convert the
it.
match point.
Yeah.
And then it all ends up on Reddit, and Zephyr's withstand gets removed the next day out of that parallel universe, which just further brings more balance. Jokes aside, it would have been a different round, and you've got to give, you know, the sort of potential there to Nesk to actually clutch that one out. As it stands, he was out of the fight, and Team Liquid arguably a little bit out of the game. They need to try and get the heads inside of this one, because they don't want to go a clean 6 rounds down after their attacking phase. It would leave a mammoth task for them to do on the defense.
Yeah, it's one thing to know that you don't want to give away strategies and you don't need to sweat really hard on this game. It's another thing to let the entire thing slip away from you. Right? It's like, you know that scene in The Incredibles where Dash is running a race and they're like, you know, go for second, you don't want to win because it'll be too obvious. It's like that. It's like, go for a 7-4 or a 7-5 maybe, but not this.
Ness could find himself in an early engage here. I don't know if he's aware of Reduct. He certainly knows where Fowls is, and I would guess he doesn't know where Reduct is. Reduct, just peek out a little bit more. You've got this one. Ness going to get the indication there, but I think he still thinks the player's on the stairs due to the lifeline exploding straight away. Nobody knew about Reduct. Nesk knows now, though, as he pulls one back as a trade. Fouls with the shotgun. It's probably just a little bit too far to challenge, and rightly backs himself on off. Keeps himself safe for a time. Nesk still convinced that he wants to try and push out the player in showers, but had no idea of white stairs. It's happened once. Why let it happen twice? Raps. He picks up a freebie over onto Nesk. Moringa has got himself down. Raps finds a second over onto Sexy Cake. This has got 6-0, written all over it. Paolu has to be a difference maker here, but instead he will not be. Gets taken down by Luca as Luca picks up the last 2. 6 clean rounds here for MIBR.
Match point. You know, imagine being the team that 7-0 Team Liquid.
It's still only worth 3 points, Gio.
What's cool about this, though, is Team Liquid could suddenly flip on this half.
That's the scary thing, you know. At the end of a Super Week, at the end of what have been some exciting games, we now find ourselves in this position. MIBR are on match point. Liquid are now on the defense. My voice is now scared that this is going to go to OT.
I'm thinking like overtime match point. We're going to go to 15 rounds. This is the 13th game that we've casted in 3 days.
Is that number going to be lucky? For anybody?
It's not looking very lucky for Team Liquid.
It really isn't looking lucky for Team Liquid, is it?
Oh dear. All right, well, you never know. Everything could change here, and MIBR can't let their guard down too early, I don't think. Because even though, yeah, they've got the best round deficit possible, you just can't, because as soon as the half splits or changes, it's suddenly a very different game that you have to play, and it could be a game that MIBR just can't stack up against Team Liquid on. That said, it could be the same the other way around and Team Liquid just completely fall apart. At this point, we need a screenshot of right now and send it to R6 events, because whatever happens, you know, it is something preceding an unfortunate event. Either Team Liquid gets 7-0'd, or it goes all the way to max OT and MIBR lose. I think both of them are quite juicy outcomes.
They really are. Anything is possible here. We are dealing with Team Liquid. They are a very capable team. That much can't be understated. And if they choose to here, if they have it within them to start chaining rounds together, well, we could very well see that OT. MIBR for a time, though, they have got a little bit of room to breathe, but they don't want to take the foot off the gas too much. I imagine a 7-0 victory against Liquid would feel quite good, and maybe that's what they are going for here. Still a default camera up there, but I think it's going to get pinged out and taken down in due course. As we have seen teams struggle attacking onto this site, whereas the mighty Santos have a 100% win ratio on attack on this objective. So maybe teams need to start taking a leaf out of Santos' book for how they approach it. But for the time being, everything's looking good here for MIBR. They're ticking all the right boxes.
Down down go the lifelines. They want to clear out Pillar, which is where PSK is playing. Likely quite aggressive. There's a Malusi Banshee still present there on the stairs. PSK does get stunned and will retreat back to the Vulcan shield. So I don't know if that Banshee did end up getting cleared by Raps. It looks like it might have.
Plenty of drone info available for Liquid as well, as they've got tons of drones available to them. They've also got quite a bit of time, and if people are going to continue to push like that, well, they might have an advantage, as Palu tries, but can't quite land the shots over on Fouls. Takes a bit of chip damage in return. Raps is still trying to bait somebody into that engagement at the back of those stairs. Lucid's actually gotten himself into Pillar, but there's no one directly there to trade off. The kills are coming up all Liquid as Paolo and PSK stand strong, and Impact sees Raps down, and it is all down to Reduct. I would imagine that it isn't going to be this round that sees the game cleared, as there are 40 seconds and 1 kill to find every 10 seconds as Reduct starts with a nice frag onto PSK.
So close, yet so far. You can't write off Reduct. Maybe he is going to clutch it out, but it's going to be quite difficult because he's not even on the site. Now he's starting to look down through Freezer. There's the lines of sight. He directly sees some of those players from Liquid, but he's also broadcasted his position. And they're all taking theirs to try and get the kill before he can push on in.
Going to be a tough one for Reduct, and Liquid are playing this very safely indeed. I think there's only Nesk actually that's really making any significant challenge. You get the impression that everyone else is just going, just leave him, guys. Let's just take this round, please. Let's not get 7-0'd. And they won't this game, at least. Team Liquid, they're going to pick up their first round on the defense and start what could be quite a long journey here against MIBR.
It really could be. You know, MIBR struggled to take control of Pillar. It was the place that they started focusing on mostly at the start. It's quite a traditional place to try and take control of as well when you are looking to push onto the basement side. Something that many teams in Brazil decide not to spend a ton of time looking at. So it's almost, it feels comforting. It feels like home to see that actually happen. But the point is, you know, they had a bunch of utility that was invested down there. We saw the Zephyr lifelines get used. There were other players who were looking in through blue. PSK was being directly shielded by the Vulcan shield, and he got, what, 2 kills? 1 kill? One of the players of Liquid got 2 kills, and one of them got 1 kill, and PSK was one of those players. They just piled on as MIBR looked to push in through there. So not the best for MIBR, really struggling against that monolith, and maybe a bit nervous about whether or not that monolith is going to be omnipresent throughout the remaining rounds, but I don't know if they should allow themselves to get nervous, and obviously this is pure speculation. They might not be nervous. I can't speak for MIBR, but not the best.
It might be a case where they just kind of write off that laundry objective and just go, you know what, we're going to struggle down there. We'll give it our best shot, but we've got plenty of time to convert this this match point into a match win. They need to really try and save their energy, I guess, for these other rounds. But we haven't seen them taste a loss before in terms of a loss of a round here tonight. And so far, a lot of things have really been heavily going in their favor. So it would be safe to assume that they're hoping for that to continue. Raps has got himself aggressively straight in. Wasn't even wasting his own ammunition on breaking down that barricade or his fist, as he could have just meleeed it. Instead, waited for his teammate, pop it on open, and allow him to hop straight on in quite aggressively. We could see some aggression from MIBR here. Sexy Cake is going to be off-site. Might look to get himself onto the top of tier 3. Just up that little ladder there.
Wouldn't be the first time that he's done it. Sexy Cake playing on T3 and not being droned out is a Liquid special. And you can see how much they've invested actually into holding Attic as well. They had all 3 ADSs up there by Nesk. He's got the shield as well, and the hole over the trophy wall so he can throw the C4 if he needs to. There's the C4 going over. I'm not sure it's going to catch anyone though, as Falls isn't going to be far enough forward to be caught out by it. But they do know that that games room wall has been opened, and that's where a lot of MIBR's focus is.
Sexy Cake, I don't think has been droned once throughout the course of this round, and MIBR may be really scratching their heads as to where he is. You can see them checking on the drones, and Lukid getting rid of the Banshee. They're throwing that nade a little bit further up. He might have seen some damage at least onto PSK. PSK going to get found out there as he kind of gives the game away and retreats on back. Getting into the final minute now, so a push needs to start materializing from somewhere. The breach is going to be open. It looks as though smokes are going to be sent through. Lukid has been cut off at the top of White Stairs, though, as no one has pushed through the breach for the side of MIBR to try and get that plant down. Instead, they were focused on smoking off White. There's players inside of Attic for Liquid that can swing as soon as anybody gets themselves on in. Fowls is going to find position as Lukid does make his entry up those White Stairs. The smoke canister is going to hit, but it's not going to be onto anything, and that plant's going to get locked on in. Team Liquid now in a bit of a tricky retake situation. There are a couple of players that are low on the side of MIBR, so there's a chance for a clutch to happen here, but it's looking increasingly more unlikely. 2 versus 2 now, as Palu gets himself taken down as well. This could be it. This could be MIBR taking the whole game right here and now. Moringa, 2 versus 1, knows where the player is inside a trophy. Looks as though we're going to see a prone shot, but Raps comes in with the final kill. MIBR are going to be thrilled with that one. They take Liquid a clean 7-1 here on Oregon.
Oh, what a beautiful way to end the day and to end our Super Week as well. Team Liquid invested a lot in their Attic defense then, and yet when it came for it, they couldn't leave Attic, knowing that Trophy was being held by the attackers. Ultimately, MIBR just played better. And while Team Liquid don't necessarily get the points that they would need for the seeding, they'll still be moving on forward into the Copa Elite 6. Both of these teams will, and I'm sure that's where we're going to see the real spicy strategies come out.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, Gio. I imagine we're going to see maps other than